All right, so let's just imagine this for a second. Myles Garrett, wearing midnight green, lining up next to Jalen Carter, with Hasten Reddick-style energy coming off the edge. That's the kind of thing that sends chills down your spine if you're an Eagles fan, and absolute fear if you're anyone else. Because the rumor mill, right now, it's heating up. And guess what name keeps popping up? Myles Garrett. Yeah, you heard that right. There's been buzz all around the league that Howie Roseman might actually be eyeing a blockbuster move to bring the Cleveland Browns superstar to Philadelphia. Now, before anyone freaks out, let's rewind a bit and talk about how this all started. Earlier this season, reports began to surface from multiple league insiders suggesting that Howie has had Garrett on his radar for a while. Some of these whispers even claimed that he'd be willing to offer up to 3 first-round picks to make the deal happen. 3. That's an outrageous price tag, but if you followed Howie long enough, you know he's not afraid to go big when it comes to elite defensive talent. And honestly, if there's one player in the entire NFL who's worth betting the house on, it's probably Myles Garrett. The logic behind this obsession actually makes perfect sense. The Eagles have built their entire identity around dominating the line of scrimmage. That's been the foundation of this franchise for decades. You could trace it all the way back to the early 2000s when Andy Reid and Joe Banner were calling the shots. They taught a young Howie Roseman that football is won in the trenches. You protect your quarterback, you hit theirs, and everything else falls into place. That's been the Eagles' DNA ever since. And under Roseman, that philosophy has only gotten stronger. It's no coincidence that the team keeps drafting and developing monsters in the trenches. Think about it. Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. The Eagles' blueprint hasn't changed. Invest in big, fast, physical players who control the line. So when a player like Myles Garrett, arguably the best pass rusher of his generation, might even possibly be available, of course Howie's going to pick up the phone. He lives for opportunities like this. And if you've been watching what's going on in Cleveland, you can tell that things have been messy. Garrett's been visibly frustrated. He's had another dominant season, stacking up double-digit sacks again, but the Browns? They've been inconsistent at best. He's been carrying that defense on his back, and every time the offense stalls or the team drops another winnable game, you can see the frustration boiling over. He even had one of those moments on the sideline recently. Helmet flying, tempers flaring, and when reporters asked him about it afterward, he basically said, "Don't keep bringing it up." You could just feel that he's not happy with how things are going there. Now, to be fair, Garrett brought some of this on himself. He did demand a trade before, only to turn around and sign a massive 4-year, $160 million deal with Cleveland. At the time, the richest ever for a defensive player. The Browns threw the bag at him, and he stayed. But even with all that money, it's pretty obvious the losing is wearing on him. He's 29 years old, still in his prime, and he's wasting elite seasons on a team that can't seem to get out of its own way. That's where the Eagles come in. Philadelphia is a contender right now. They've got the quarterback, they've got the offensive line, and they got a defense that's one piece away from being unstoppable. And imagine that piece being Myles Garrett. A defensive line rotation that includes Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith, and Brandon Graham, all learning under Vic Fangio's system. That's nightmare fuel for any offensive coordinator in the league. Fangio loves to bring pressure, but with Garrett, he wouldn't even have to blitz as often. You'd get pressure with just 4 guys, which makes life so much easier for the secondary. And look, say what you want about the price. 3 first-round picks sound like a lot, but think about where the Eagles usually draft, late 20s, sometimes even early 30s. Those picks aren't guaranteed game changers. By that point in the draft, most teams only have around 15 to 20 players with true first-round grades. So if you're drafting at the bottom of the round, you're basically picking a second-round caliber player anyway. Trading 3 late firsts for a generational defensive talent like Myles Garrett could actually be a bargain, especially if it helps you win another Super Bowl. Of course, the Browns have their side of the equation too. Moving Garrett would mean taking on a huge dead cap hit, somewhere around $41 million. That's brutal, especially for a team already dealing with the financial mess from the Deshaun Watson situation. They're paying Watson an absurd amount of guaranteed money while also trying to manage all the restructuring that comes with it. So, yeah, the Browns would have to swallow a lot of pain if they actually decided to trade Garrett. But if they did, the upside is clear. They get 3 first-round picks, maybe more, and could start a legitimate rebuild with tons of draft capital. Honestly, it might be the best move for both sides. The Browns aren't close to contending, and they know it. Their roster's got holes everywhere, and that offense doesn't look like it's going to fix itself anytime soon. Meanwhile, the Eagles are right on the doorstep of another championship run. Garrett could be the missing piece, the guy who pushes them over the top. And let's talk about what he brings to the table, because we're not just talking about some random pass rusher here. Myles Garrett is a physical marvel. 6'4", 272 pounds of pure muscle and explosion. He looks like he was sculpted out of stone. Every time he steps on the field, he's a mismatch nightmare. He's got that rare blend of power, speed, and technique that you just can't teach. He can bull rush, spin, swim, bend the edge. It doesn't matter. He's got the full bag of tricks, and he's been terrorizing quarterbacks since the day he got drafted first overall back in 2017. Since then, he's been one of the most consistent and durable players in the entire league. 8 straight seasons with double-digit sacks, multiple All-Pro selections, multiple Pro Bowls, and he even won Defensive Player of the Year in 2023. And he's not showing any signs of slowing down. He's already at 10 sacks this season, including that 5-sack explosion against New England that had everybody talking. That game alone was like a highlight reel of everything he does best. Speed off the line, violent hands, perfect timing, and an endless motor. Now imagine pairing that with the Eagles' front. Quarterbacks wouldn't even have time to blink. And the best part? He fits right into the team's culture. Philadelphia loves players who bring intensity, grit, and passion. Garrett has all of that in spades. The guy just wants to compete and win meaningful football games. That's something he hasn't been able to do in Cleveland. You can tell he's tired of putting up crazy numbers while the team keeps losing. For a player his caliber, that's got to be exhausting. It's almost tragic, really. You look around the league and see stars like Garrett and Max Crosby, absolute legends in the making, stuck on teams that can't get it together. Week after week, they're sacrificing their bodies, dominating on the field. And for what? Another meaningless December game? That's the kind of frustration that eventually boils over. Let's keep it rolling, because this story doesn't slow down here. Once rumors like this start gaining traction, every front office in the league pays attention. The idea of Myles Garrett being even remotely available sends shockwaves across the NFL. You can bet that Howie Roseman isn't the only general manager making calls, but if history tells us anything, he's usually the most aggressive when a superstar comes on the market. He's pulled off trades for A.J. Brown, Darius Slay, and Kevin Byard, all because he refuses to sit back when he sees an opening. And this one, it might be his biggest swing yet. Behind the scenes, the league's insiders have been talking about this for months. Jeremy Fowler had mentioned earlier in the offseason that the Eagles were poking around, trying to see if any top-tier pass rushers might be available. That was when Josh Sweat was testing free agency and eventually signed that massive deal in Arizona. Once that happened, the Eagles' need for another elite edge rusher became crystal clear. Garrett, of course, was the dream scenario, the kind of player who could immediately tilt the balance of power in the NFC. When you look at how the Eagles' defense is built, it's all about versatility and constant pressure. Vic Fangio's scheme thrives on disguise. He loves dropping guys back, blitzing from weird angles, and forcing quarterbacks to make mistakes. But what he really wants is to generate chaos with as few rushers as possible. That's exactly where Garrett fits like a glove. If you can get home with 4, Garrett, Carter, Jordan Davis, and Nolan Smith, you can sit back in coverage and make life miserable for opposing offenses. That's how championship defenses are built. Think back to when the Eagles dominated Kansas City in the regular season a couple years ago. They didn't have to blitz Patrick Mahomes once. The front 4 just overwhelmed the Chiefs' line. If Garrett were on that field, the outcome of that Super Bowl might have been different. He's that kind of player. You don't just notice him. You feel his presence every snap. Offensive coordinators spend the entire week game planning for him, and it still doesn't matter. Now, financially, there are a few complications. Garrett's contract is massive, And it's not like the Eagles are swimming in cap space. But Howie's made a career out of turning impossible cap situations into miracles. He's the Houdini of NFL accounting. Look at what he's done the past few years. Restructuring deals, converting bonuses, finding ways to keep the roster stacked while still extending guys like Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. If anyone can make the money work, it's him. The bigger issue might actually be Cleveland's willingness to take the hit. Trading Garrett would leave them with more than $40 million in dead cap. That's brutal, especially considering they're already still cleaning up the financial mess left by the Deshaun Watson deal. It's not just about the money either, it's about pride. The Browns front office doesn't want to admit that their franchise cornerstone wants out again. They've already gone through years of drama and dysfunction. Letting Garrett go would feel like waving the white flag. But at some point, they have to face reality. They're not close to winning, and keeping a superstar pass rusher on a losing team doesn't make much sense. If the Browns really wanted to reset, this is how you do it. You take the 3 first-round picks, maybe even squeeze out a second or third rounder, and start building a real foundation. Think about what the Eagles have done with their draft capital. Guys like Devonta Smith, Landon Dickerson, Nolan Smith, all first or second-round picks. That's how you create sustained success. The Browns could do the same, but they need to swallow their pride first. For the Eagles, though, the move would be about going all in. This team is built to win right now. They've got their franchise quarterback locked up long-term. The offensive line is still one of the best in football. The weapons on offense are elite. What they need is one more difference maker on defense, a closer, the guy who can single-handedly end drives, end games, and in playoff runs. Garrett is that guy. If the Eagles were to pull this off, they'd instantly become the clear favorites to win the Super Bowl. You could argue they already are, but adding Myles Garrett would push them into a different tier entirely. Think about how dominant that pass rush would be. Teams wouldn't be able to double everyone. If you chip Garrett, you're leaving Carter one-on-one. If you double Carter, Garrett gets loose. There's no winning formula against that front. There's also the mental side of it. Bringing in someone like Garrett sends a message to the entire locker room and the entire league that the Eagles are not content with just being good. They want to be great. They want to build a dynasty. It tells every player in that building that the front office is serious about maximizing this window while Jalen Hurts is in his prime. And that kind of mentality becomes contagious. Guys play harder when they know the organization is giving them every chance to win. You can already see fans losing their minds over this on social media. Every time Garrett's name trends, Eagles Twitter explodes. Some people think it's a long shot. Others are already photoshopping him in a green jersey. But the truth is, if Garrett truly wants out, Philadelphia might be one of the few destinations that makes sense. They got the assets, the cap creativity, and the culture to make it work. And you know Howie. He doesn't wait for opportunities to come to him. He creates them. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are circulating around the NFL, and one name seems to be on the lips of fans and insiders alike: KENDRICK Bourne. Sources close to the league hint that the veteran wide receiver, known for his clutch performances and savvy route running, has reportedly given a yes to joining the Philadelphia Eagles. While nothing is official just yet, the buzz has already sent shockwaves through Philadelphia's fan base, hungry for moves that could elevate their offensive firepower. Bourne's potential move to the Eagles is being painted as a perfect fit. Philadelphia, a team with championship aspirations, has been quietly exploring options to deepen its receiving core. Bourne, who has carved out a reputation as a reliable target and occasional game-changer, seems to check all the boxes. Observers suggest that his experience could mesh seamlessly with the Eagles' high-octane offense, especially considering the team's tendency to spread the field and create mismatches. His presence could not only offer a safety valve for the quarterback, but also provide a spark in critical third-down situations. The timing of this development has fueled speculation even further. The NFL offseason is notorious for rumors and last-minute deals, and insiders claim Bourne's yes might just be the tip of the iceberg. Some whisper that the Eagles' front office has been quietly courting him, using a combination of strategic persuasion and the allure of a potential deep playoff run to sway the seasoned receiver. Fans on social media are already buzzing, imagining Bourne in the green and white, making contested catches and turning short gains into momentum-shifting plays. Of course, as with any rumor, skepticism remains. Contracts, physicals, and the inevitable back and forth with agents could still throw a wrench into the talks. Yet the excitement is palpable. If this deal comes to fruition, it could signal a bold statement from the Eagles, a team not content to simply maintain status quo, but one eager to aggressively chase a championship window. For now, the NFL world watches and waits, as whispers of Kendrick Bourne in Philadelphia grow louder with each passing hour. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.